Assalamu alaikum and welcome to our suit reviews. Today I'm going to share a couple of Faraz Manan suits with you. These are from Kashmir alone. These are replicas of Faraz Manan. Now there is obviously a slight bit of a variation to what the model is wearing. We've made this in a salwar kameez. This is a long kameez with a trouser, and obviously it's been worn by a very slim model. Also the suit has been slightly modernized to go, obviously, to sell the item. Retailers or manufacturers do the photo taking in such an environment that they look very appealing. Now often when we often get tempted to buy the suits through the look, but when we look at things realistically, we cannot wear them in the same manner. Our body shapes and figures and everything else would be totally different to what the model is. Anyway, that's not to say that that should restrict us. We've got to adapt the suit to our own personal circumstances and our personal body size and the rest. So that's basically what I've done. I've transformed this size to the particular customer who I've made this for. So a slight few variations. That was just a little bit of the background. I'm going to just give you a little bit of an outline on what it is that I've done with this suit and the kind of advice I can offer to customers, whether they're buying them from me or whether they're buying them from somebody else, or whether you've already purchased a suit similar to this, maybe from online or from whoever. Then if you're stuck, on what to do, maybe you need guidelines on sewing because you are a fairly large size. Whatever the reason, the aim of Jan Sewing Solutions is to try and find a solution to the problems and to help you along and to give you the best guidance possible. Okay, so unlike the trouser, that was a button trouser, straight fitting pants, we've done a salwar because this is a very large size, and often depending on the age and so on as well, also with large size ladies, I often recommend a good salwar. Now the length on this salwar is very long. She's a very tall and big built lady, so the length of this salwar is 45 inches, and in accordance with the size of what I was sewing, I have gone and made the gear of the salwar fairly wide as well. Also with light colors, it's a good thing to bear in mind not to make overly fitted or overly tight trousers, because often if it's a fair bit of fabric gathered together, the transparency is not as much, whereas if it's a very light flimsy type of a salwar, then the chances are that you're going to be able to see through that very much easily. So I've made a slightly heavier salwar. I've put two kalis in. Now there is a cutting video to go along with this. Okay, the patta is a print. I've just done the edges, trimmed away the excess, and then just basically just turned the edges. Very nice print dupatta on chiffon. The kameez, it looks very big and it looks fairly straight. There isn't really much of a fitting. Because of the measurements that I was given, I've gone accordance with them. What can I show you? Well, the neckline is was an embroidered patch that we've applied on using the domestic machine, which is the pattern machine. A Janome 6260 is what I was using to do the embroidery, around the embroidery. So there is a video where I've shown how to use that machine and how to go around the edges and how you can master that. It's quite an easy way to master it, and alhamdulillah, if you use Wonderweb to stick the initial neckline onto the fabric and then embroidery around the outside, that would give you a permanent solution where you can wash and wear the clothes as you like, and it will last you a very long time. The suit itself, I've taken off certain pieces and I've reattached them because we needed a fairly longer kameez than the average kameez. The original border ended here, so I've extended this by about 4 inches, and then I've added a plain fabric underneath it in the green, one to give it a fall and two to give it a little bit more uniqueness. This is a perfect color matching with the dupatta as well. I've trimmed the sides with a dori that is just marginally visible on the right side. And I've done the attachment of the patterned piece, which I cut off from the side of the kameez and attached onto the back daman as well. So really, that what I've done with these two damans is I've unified them, so the front and the back look symmetric and don't actually totally fall differently. The back of the kameez is just a print, a standard print. The care of this particular suit, this is the maximum that I could take out from this fabric, so anything above that you will struggle. But I mean, even here there was a slight bit of a marginal, maybe less, but you know what, overall it's not bad. I'm just going to give you a measurement of what this particular kameez is, so it gives you a sort of an idea. So at the hip point, the width of this kameez at the hip point is 27 inches. So I think it was 28, and I've used a half an inch in the margins, so I'm left with 27 inches as a ready kameez. What else can I tell you? So the length of this kameez, I mean, it's a very long and very large size kameez, and I don't envisage many people, it's a 49-inch long length kameez, so I don't really envisage that many people who are going to be larger size than this sister that I've sewn for. She is tall, and she is really quite muscular built. You know, I wouldn't say obese or anything, you know, but she's one of those people who is like a very well-built woman, and this is a size which is, you know, and one of the reasons why I'm mentioning all this is because often I get queries from people and they're asking, I'm a large size and will it be adequate fabric to make it for myself? So this, what I'm trying to actually get to, the point I'm trying to make here is not to pick on anyone, but really to actually explain that these suits you can go on to make quite a large size. So this is the first one that I've stitched for her. I really do hope that you know, it fits her well and she likes it. Obviously sometimes we're tempted by looking at pictures and often choosing, and then when we see the thing in reality, it doesn't really take us back as much as we got, you know, inspired by the pictures and so on. But I actually do like this, and I would probably, it's a simple kind of a suit which I would actually love to make for myself. I like simple stuff like this, and really it's classy, and at the same time it's something that you could get a lot of wear out of. You know, it's comfortable suit where you would really get the wear out of it, you know, rather than having all those fancy suits which you just end up storing and not really getting the wear out of. So that is my completed suit, and that is the design. Obviously it's not exactly the same as what you're seeing because that is a very slim model. Like, it's always a pleasure to sew for someone who's stick thin, because then you can, you know, really show what you've done. Now the next one that I'm doing is design number 06, and it's in the grey and peach. So we'll put that to a side. Is there for the same person? So I'm just gonna, I've cut this and I'm gonna just explain what I've done, and then perhaps that will sort of give you guidance. So we've got the dupatta. I've not cut the salwar yet. This is it's almost like a bluey grey color. I'm just going to quickly press this before I go on to cutting this. The kameez I have cut, and the kameez I've already done the neckline and you know, the attachments. Okay, so this is something that if you follow one of the videos is what I showed. Now originally the neckline was, it was all attached in one, and the pieces came along on the sides. What I've done is I opted to take away those two pieces and use them on the jacks. Okay, and then I've taken away this has like a a print thing at the back. So the front will have embroidery and the back of the dress will have this pattern going down. Slight bit of a problem with the pattern. It wasn't 100% central. I was limited to how much fabric I could, you know, on the one side you've got the edging, and then the other side I've left a slight bit of the peach because I was digging into the peach. I couldn't leave too much because then it'd be visible, but really that's the maximum that you could get from this. It's about 28 and a half inches. Now at the bottom of the daman I'm going to attach this peach part, and I'm going to be using some peach fabric to actually trim this with. Well, I've got a thingy of using peach, or I've got a, you know, so that's how I'm going to finish the daman. Perhaps not using all of this, I will break it down a little bit, and I will use this at the front, and then we've got also a little bit that we can use for the back as well. Sleeves, I've just basically cut them, and I'm sure there was a little piece that I had lying around. Anyway, I'm gonna work out whether to trim the sides of this with peach or even with black. I think black will look just as pretty. Peach is a little bit of a lighter color, and I'm not overly keen on using the peach, but then again, I don't know. Sometimes I hesitate and I really, you know, often ponder over how I'm going to make this, and then whatever end of it, whatever takes my fancy, I just follow my instinct. So inshallah I shall be finishing this off, and hopefully you know, sharing the result with you. These suits are very pretty. I think sewn, they can be made wonderfully, as you can see, for sewing such a large size and making it so pretty, then you can imagine how a smaller size will look. And I hope that just gives you confidence to actually experiment and to try these suits out. So hope to see you soon. Take care. Well, I'll tell you what I'll do. I won't leave. What we'll do is we'll do the neckline. This is just a piece of fabric that's left over. So what we'll do is, shall we just use that to... Now we've got to decide on the kind of neckline that we're going to make. They've done like a V neckline. I'm not really sure on a V neckline. Okay, let's have a look. Let's just take a piece of paper and work out the kind of neckline we're going to do. Cut this and place it on and see what this looks like. So we've just taken a piece of like a standard paper. I mean, this might not be 100%. I think that should be okay. Maybe just a little bit deeper. Here. No. I think my initial one was better. Sometimes you just have to mess around with right. Okay, so what I've done now is I've cut into this. Okay, I'm going to go along this shape. So this is just a guideline on cutting the neckline. You can pin this into place and so what we will do with this now is iron it onto the spare fabric, which is this. I would probably do it this way because I won't really want the black sticking out. And then pin this onto the neck. So join me again, I'll just quickly iron this and then we'll pin it onto the dress. Okay, so welcome back. Now with the neckline, what I did was I took the interfacing, I ironed it on, pressed it onto the base fabric, and then overlocked the edges, trimmed away the inside of this, and just made it into the right size, ready for attaching to the kameez. What you need to do is place it onto the center of the